Welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone podcast with KOMO Sports Director Nico Tamurian and Najee Moye.
It is the Rams. Welcome to a special rapid reaction edition of the KOMO Sports End Zone podcast. I'm Nico Tamurian. Of course, we'll do the full breakdown, X's and O's, predictions, and all that during the week with Najee. But I want to talk about, okay, we know the matchup and how fitting it is that it's the Rams. And if the Seahawks are to make it to Super Bowl 60, to make it to their first Super Bowl in 11 years, they will have had to obviously win the division like we saw, but take 2 out of 3 from the rival Niners, take 2 out of 3 from the rival Rams. And in that sense, it's a little bit poetic. Let's be clear. A lot of 12s out there. I'm one of them saying, wouldn't have minded seeing the Rams lose. Certainly, it's not just because I'm married to a Chicago girl, but it's because certainly the Bears are fun to watch. But it's the Rams. Who wants the Rams to win? So as we head into this, it is unique. It is special that we can look back at this. And should this go the way that Seahawks fans hope, it'll be that journey through the West. The Seahawks had to scratch and claw to win the division. And remember, they clinched the playoff berth by beating the Rams. We're recording this Sunday night, a month ago today, December 18th, by that beautiful overtime game. And then they clinched the division by beating the San Francisco 49ers. So they've already kind of done this, right? Like made these great things happen by way of beating these rivals. And here we go. We get to the playoffs. They dismantle, dominate, obliterate. I'm just going to keep using adjectives because it's fun when you're talking about this game. The 49ers. And that's how they get to this game. And now they can punch their ticket to the Super Bowl by beating the Rams. And not to get ahead of ourselves, I'm just kind of on this poetic kick at the moment. We know it's going to be a rematch of some sort if they were to make the Super Bowl. It's either the Broncos or the Patriots. So how fitting would it be if they were to take 2 out of 3 from the Niners, 2 out of 3 from the Rams, get to the Super Bowl, and avenge that 49 loss that we don't talk about to the Patriots? I'm just saying. There's a lot of cool scripts at play here that could be a lot of fun to watch unfold. So there it is. It's the Rams. I want to go over the early betting odds with you. The Seahawks are favored to win this thing by 2.5 points. They're the favorite money line, minus 155. If you're not familiar with the betting game, basically you bet 155 to win 100. And the over-under, this is a cool, interesting thing to me. The point total, whatever you want to call it, it's 47.5. Now, the game down in LA, where the Seahawks lost, it was 21-19, 40 total points. The game they won up here, it was 38-37 in overtime, 75. So depends on how you see this one shaking out. And let's talk about those two games really quickly. You know, it wasn't a popular thing at the time. I was saying this on the air. I still feel it now. I mean, it's validated now. But I remember watching that Rams game, okay, way back on November 16th. The Seahawks have not lost since. And I remember thinking, okay, listen, Sam Darnold threw 4 picks. The offense couldn't have played much worse. And yet, they only lost by 2 points. Jason Myers had that 61-yard field goal attempt as time expired. That is not on Myers. 61 yards is crazy, right? But he could have won the game with that kick, despite, didn't mean to hit the mic there, despite how bad things went in that game. So you kind of had a feeling, okay, they played about as terrible football as they could possibly play. And yet they had a chance to win the game. So then you fast forward to the game up here. Okay, the Rams take the lead. Things aren't going well, but this team, as they always seem to, somehow, some way, find a way. Rashid Shaheed, as he always seems to be, is the spark plug. That punt return sparked the rally. Went from down 30-14 to 30-22, just like that. And the rest, as they say, is history. It certainly there's a lot to happen in between. Of course, talking about tying the thing up, talking about the touchdown in overtime to JSN, and of course the 2-point conversion to Eric Saubert. But my point I'm making is this, is that the Seahawks still hadn't peaked, and yet they barely lost to the Rams in one of the worst games they played, if not the worst game, right? They beat the Rams after trailing 16 points in the fourth quarter. I'm just saying. And so now they're playing their best football they have all year. Just ask the 49ers. It's almost similar from the standpoint, like week 1, excuse me, they lost to the Niners. And then here we go to week 18 and they beat them. And then the next step, they dominated them. Now, listen, let's be clear. The week 18 domination of the Niners, even if the score was just 13-3, was not the same as a 38-37 epic nail biter game. Okay. So there's things to be said about that. But, it's kind of got this symmetry to it. We're going to be monitoring things. Charles Cross had a bit of a foot injury. Mike McDonald said, they got to kind of wait and see, and that would be a big storyline heading into this one. We all saw Zach Charbonnet leave with that knee injury. Imaging will be done. We'll get a Monday update from Mike McDonald on that, and we'll see how that plays out going forward. But the thought is that it's not too serious. It seems that there isn't structural damage, and that would be good. But I'll say this. I mean, this team all year long has been guys stepping up. K9 broke 100 yards, 3 touchdowns in the absence of Zach. I know if you're a fantasy football owner who had K9 on your team, you were kind of wondering, where was that in the regular season? But, you'll still take the win, right? So things to monitor in that way. But here we go. The crowd was rocking Saturday night, and now we get it one more time with that spot in the Super Bowl on the line. A little bit of history here for you. This will be the 5th time the Seahawks are in a conference title game. The first time they were still in the AFC, 1984. They lost to the Raiders 30-14. But ever since, 3 bids. I'm going by the date the game was played. So 06 when they beat the Panthers, technically the end of the 05 season, just to be clear. 06, they beat the Panthers 34-14, went to Super Bowl 40. Then, of course, we all remember 2014, the tip, they beat the Niners 23-17. And that's kind of what this feels like with the Rams, right? It's another epic showdown with a spot in the Super Bowl on the line. And then, of course, the next year, that crazy overtime game to beat Green Bay 28-22. So they've won the last 3, all of them in the NFC they've won. And here we go. I can't help but think about those betting odds this summer that had the Seahawks at 7.5 wins for the whole season. And now here they are knocking on the door of the Super Bowl. And it's because this team is so tight knit. I'm going to tell you guys something. Like Mike McDonald says the same thing every week. We got to stack days. We got to stack wins. We got to just kind of stay locked in. And it comes off, if you don't know Mike, like Coach speak, but it's just genuinely who he is. He is so locked in. And it doesn't make for flashy headlines. It doesn't make for, these viral sound bites. Who cares? It leads to wins. It leads to wins in the playoffs. And this team is here. And it's that exact approach that makes this team so special. No moment is going to be too big. Now, listen, I was talking to Rashid Shaheed after the game. Had to talk about that kick return. But he said, let's put it out there in the open. Our goal is the Super Bowl, obviously. But we don't get there unless we lock in. And they didn't know who their opponent was at that time. It was on the field right after the game. But it almost didn't matter. I mean, of course, there's schematics and all that stuff that they're going to break down. But for this team, it's all about just locking in, doing Seahawks football. And what that's been, here's another McDonald's for complimentary football. Well, what is that? It's a big return on special teams leading to some points for the offense. It's the offense moving down the field to lead to a Jason Myers field goal. It's the defense forcing a 4th down stop, getting a turnover that leads to points. And it's all kind of, in symmetry. I mean, you think about the Rashid Shaheed kickoff return Saturday night. I mean, that momentum was felt like the earthquake that set off on the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, right? It's really something special how it leads to other things. I think about that loss to the Rams and Ernest Jones with the F-bombs defending Darnold. I mean, that's when you knew this team had some really tight-knit and special chemistry to them. And that's what I think is really special. So, hey, line them up. Let's see what happens. It's going to be a lot of fun. 3:30 kickoff at Lumen Field. Of course, I'll be live with coverage on KOMO News when it wraps up. It's just going to be a special, special night. And you can say that just based on where this team was projected to be by people outside of Washington and where they ended up. It'll be really special if they get the win. And I know there's a quiet confidence because it's like the way the Seahawks are playing, they just keep getting better. They're peaking right now. I don't even know that they have peaked. Maybe that's the Super Bowl. You can feel a great pride of where they've gotten right now. And certainly wonder, hope, and imagine as to what's to come for a spot in Super Bowl 60. They made Super Bowl 40. Maybe they make Super Bowl 60. And it's fitting that it's against the Rams. The rubber match. Game, set, and match. Best of 3. Line them up. See who comes out on top at Lumen Field with the 68,000 of them behind Mike McDonald, Ernest Jones, Sam Darnold, Big Cat, K9, all those guys. Buckle up. NFC Championship game for the first time in 11 years. Your Seahawks are back with a chance at Super Bowl 60. Go Hawks. We'll have more during the week, of course.